What made you end things with your ex? She was ready for us to settle in and start a full, permanent life together, and I knew I just wasn't there. Her friends started getting married and/or getting pregnant, and I couldn't do it. She was 29, I was 23, and while that seems insignificant, it's a huge gap in mindset where I'm from at least. Even though I had no problems with her and literally zero interest in any other chick, my conclusion was that it inevitably was going to end, and if that was the case, the longer we took to get there, the worse it would be. In my own mind, I mercy killed a perfectly good relationship with a saint of a woman, and I may have. She's married now and has 2 kids of her own and 3 more from the dude. I'm single and 35 and, at the very least, was right about this. I dated a good-looking guy, with a nice family in a nice town, who worked, was accepted into a good college, and had lots of friends. He was a great boyfriend, always loyal and romantic, very attentive. He liked to party a lot, but that's all I thought it was for a while. Over time, the partying began to morph into addiction and he began placing drugs over important things. He got expelled from school, fired, he lost friendships, he had a strained relationship with his family. It was hard to accept that this wasn't a phase and that this was who my boyfriend had become. So I stuck by him even though he didn't care about me whatsoever. The moment it finally hit me was when we went over to a guy's house to sell something and I went to the bathroom. When I got out of the bathroom, my boyfriend was gone. Me and the other guy looked outside, as my boyfriend told him he was getting something from his car, but my boyfriend and the car weren't there. We kept calling him and texting him and he didn't respond. Multiple hours had passed. It turns out he left me there to go get more drugs elsewhere. Luckily, the guy he left me with was a nice person and we just talked the whole time. I finally called my boyfriend's parents and asked them to gather any of my things they still had at their house and to pick me up and bring me home. His dad came an hour later, with my boyfriend in tow, and I sat silently in the car until I got home. After we broke up, I was the one left dealing with all of the emotional baggage while my boyfriend didn't even seem to notice we broke up. It was heartbreaking, but I never regretted breaking up with him. In fact, I regretted not breaking up with him years beforehand. His reaction told me everything I needed to know. Well, he was obsessed with me. I mean, seriously. I had no life for these few months I was with him. No going out, no seeing my friend, no anything. I remember that I was buying a book and I had to ask an employee about something. Now I am extremely anxious when it comes to talking to strangers or being in between them, and during 5 minutes he called me around 13 times and I was like, that's it? He isn't letting me do anything. This relationship is a nightmare. I have to end it. And so I did. That is very much it. He never wanted to do anything outdoors, back when that was a thing, and then he wouldn't stop hogging the Xbox. He pulled out a knife by instinct when someone cut him off. That was just road rage. God only knows what would have happened if we had an argument or someone pissed him off. I didn't want to be in a scary abusive toxic relationship. I get a mini panic attack when I see someone who looks like him. He didn't like me anymore and liked someone else, but he was too scared to break up with me and asked my friends to do it for him. When my friend told me that, he told them that I broke up with him immediately. Should have done it earlier because he was a piece of shit who wouldn't stop calling me worthless, a crybaby and other things. He was a fucking child inside an 18-year-old's body. Couldn't have a serious convo to save his life, preferred to walk away and forget about our problems rather than sit down and fix them like adults, gaslight me literally every single fucking day. Told all of his friends I was crazy and controlling just because I believed I should receive more attention from him than his PlayStation, and I didn't think it was right for him to literally ditch plans with me at the last second to go and hang out with his friends. I'm fine with him seeing his friends, but not ditching me at the last second for them. His friends would try to turn him against me and would talk crap about me to his face, and he let them and didn't defend me. Twice in our relationship a certain girl who had a crush on him would shamelessly flirt with him and send him messages, and he didn't tell her off, instead told me I was crazy once again when I found out he was entertaining her. He told people I was controlling and didn't let him see his friends, which is a blatant lie. He saw his friends more than he saw me at this point. He was the one who didn't let me see my friends. I literally had no friends left when we broke up, because he didn't let me see them. He spied on my Facebook and saw all my friends trying to convince me to break up with him for my own sake, and he told me not to speak to them anymore. So my friends talk crap about you and I'm not allowed to talk to them anymore, but your friends talk crap about me and I'm crazy and controlling for expecting the same from you. Okay. He tried to make me choose between him and my family when they told me what an hole he was. He called my cancer-ridden mother a fat cow. Eventually the arguments escalated and he broke my phone, which he later refused to pay for, and he ended up attempting to drag me out of his house by my hair, just because I put my foot down and said no, we're talking about this. We're not just ignoring it. Then it got to the point where I was coming home in tears every day, and coming home with bruises on my arms every weekend. I broke up with him and told everyone what he did, and to this day, 3 years later, he's still trying to tell people I was the abusive one. His mother is also an entitled, childish Karen who absolutely hated my guts for no apparent reason. My ex's childishness is absolutely inherited from her, and his dad is a mentally abusive, entitled, sexist, manipulative prick. I highly believe my ex's behavior was learned from his parents. All of the girlfriends my ex has had since we broke up have all told me he's acted the same way with them, so obviously I'm not a liar as him and his family are trying to tell people. We ended our relationship mutually, because I can't handle long distance. In the beginning, it was pure bliss, and summer wasn't an obstacle even with a job, but when my sophomore year, this year, began, things started going downhill. On Friday the 13th, we broke up. We both sobbed, and after I stopped crying, I just felt like I was missing something. To be honest, I still do. He was crazy controlling. He would come home from work every damn day and accuse me of cheating on him out of nowhere, every day. He didn't let me drink alcohol, he freaked out on me when I drank half of a Bud Light at his niece's birthday party, but yet he'd go do coke with his friends. I wasn't allowed to work because I'd just cheat. I wasn't allowed to have friends because, again, I'd just cheat. He'd throw a fit and try to ruin my life if I dared said no to sex, like for example, he'd call up the landlord and tell him that I'm destroying the house over sex. We lived in like 4 different houses during our relationship because he did that specific thing 4 times. Eventually I moved out and rented out a room in an apartment from someone else, without him. I'd still try to talk to him because he isolated me from all my friends and family, so I had no one else. He ghosted me completely. I got a job and made some friends and slowly, I forgot about him. I also started dating a man from work. I know, bad idea, but what the hell? How he found out? No idea, because I am not on social media. He found out where I work and apparently showed up there every day without me knowing. He did this for months. He found out who my new boyfriend was. He worked in a different department than me and I did not tell my ex who he was, like at all, so he wrote a handwritten letter, telling my new boyfriend that I was cheating on him with evidence, wrote down his number and told my new boyfriend to text him back. He put it in an envelope, put my new boyfriend's name on it, and gave it to my new boyfriend's boss. Later on, I get a text from my new boyfriend saying, "Whose ex's name? We need to talk. Come over after work." Well, my boyfriend initially believed the letter and was pissed. I explained everything, he believed me, and together we blocked my ex from all social media and phone, not before sending a text saying that if he ever showed up at the casino again, I'd be calling the police. So, yeah, I know how to pick M. I was 18, and I had dated this girl for almost 2 years, and she had the craziest, strictest parents I had ever met. I couldn't hold hand, kiss, or have my arm around her. I could barely even give her hugs. So finally I called it quits because I was losing my mind. Honestly, when I think about it now, I'm surprised I lasted that long. Actually, I was dumped but should have ended things way sooner. I was checking out of the relationship, but it still hurts. She was mentally and emotionally abusive, manipulative, and the queen of gaslighting, to the point of making me recount exact dates/times she said something if I accused her/brought it up, then she would deny she ever said what I accused her of. Anything negative I said about her, for instance, "You tend to talk down to me sometimes and make me feel like I'm inferior," or that "you don't respect me, and that hurts," was perceived as an attack, which immediately led to a fight. When we fought, she would almost immediately escalate things to screaming, something I do not do, and was not used to, so I struggled to understand how to handle and quickly devolved into yelling back at her, something that makes me really sad in retrospect. And when I say screaming, I mean she has literally screamed at me at the top of her lungs on several occasions. She was controlling, and incredibly jealous. She made me block people on social media she perceived as a threat. She would sift through my social media activity. I didn't even know this was possible until I found this out, look at what / who I like / commented on, and question me about my intentions. It was honestly the most difficult and painful relationship I'd ever been in. I endured this for almost 2 years. Our fist fight was 5 months into us dating, and I resisted every fiber of my being to break up with her right then and there. Despite all the horrendous elements, we had good times. We both grew and learned a lot about ourselves and others. I personally learned to trust my intuition and exercise self-respect and self-love, and most importantly I learned some core values that are really important to me for future partners. There is still love for her, but I want absolutely nothing to do with her at all, at least for the time being. I want her far away from me, and I want to heal and move on. Thanks you for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to